This is a photograph of my son Isaac when he was 7 years old. And it's taken on the occasion of this wonderful family holiday when we took all the children for 4 months travelling around Australia. And this particular picture was taken in the Northern Territory. A parent should never have to bury a child. And the story of what happened to Isaac is what I'd like to tell you now. We were all walking together, Indian file, along the edge of Kings Canyon. And if you know what Kings Canyon is like, if you've ever been there are no fences. There is nothing stopping anybody, any tourist or any child, falling off the edge. And it's an awful long way down. Well, there we all were. We had the rule for the children. And the rule was this: everybody had to follow the person in front. Now, we had 5 children, and so we had a parent at the beginning of the line and a parent at the back of the line. And we walked Indian file along Kings Canyon. This was working fine, because our children were well behaved, and they each followed the person in front, and they could see how important it was to obey the rules. Unfortunately, Isaac had in Alice Springs bought himself this new Cobra hat, and it was windy up there at the top of Kings Canyon. And so he was holding his hat down like this against the wind so it wouldn't blow off. And he was walking, following the feet of the person in front. But because he's holding his hat and the rim of his hat down so far against the wind, at one point he could no longer see that the feet of the person in front of him had taken a turn. And Isaac continued walking straight ahead. At that point, something in my mother's intuition told me to look around, and as I looked, I saw Isaac only steps away from the edge of Kings Canyon. And I called out, "Isaac!" Well, ladies and gentlemen, your voice has power. Your voice has music. And music can arouse emotions in us that are beyond anything that words could ever do. Genuine speech arouses genuine emotion. And that's what we're going to talk about in this presentation. Your voice and the way you use your voice is part of your identity. It's what makes you, you. Think about it. If you phone somebody up on the telephone, they can't see you. But anyone who knows you will immediately know that you are you. Because 92% of the meaning of our words is conveyed in the tone and the way we use our voices musically. Only 8% in the words themselves. Imagine the monotony of a solitary confinement cell. The sin of monotony in a speaker is a little bit the same in the effect it has on the audience as death by PowerPoint. Nothing can kill a presentation quicker than using powerful words in a dull and unconvincing manner. The same volume all the time and the same pitch of tone. If I was to speak to you with the same volume all the time and the same pitch of tone and not modulate my voice musically, or the same emphasis, the same speed all the time, every word the same, this is not a good way to communicate with an audience. That way you'll have the same thoughts, or perhaps no thoughts at all, unless you can separate your thoughts and your phrases from each other. You will never move an audience with your voice. Think about it. There's a variety of sounds in nature. Think of the birds and the sounds of the trees and the different animals, all the different sounds we have. Well, the human voice can do that too. And we're going to talk about just how we can do it. Because when we use our voice, we can convey, not just with the word, but the way we say the word, we can convey truth. We can convey force with our voice. We can convey feeling with our voice and life with our voice. As long as we practice the way we are using our voice. Therefore, we are first going to now begin with a vocal warm-up, as every singer and every speaker ought to do before they give a presentation. This is even more important than that introduction, which is the beginning of your speech. Let's now explore our natural voice range. Firstly, ease and openness of our voice. We start with good posture, standing, what I say, tall and proud, so that our breath can come from here. And that way we give ourselves vocal support, and our voice then can have power and energy to deliver the message that we want. I'm going to invite you now to stand wherever you are in watching this presentation and join in with me. So first of all, we stand with our feet the same distance apart as our shoulders, and we are sure that our knees are not locked. With the children I always say, I never lock my knees, I never lock my hips, rib cage tall. So we stand tall and proud. We can even stretch our arms up in the air, stretch as high as you can, and breathe in, and then hiss out. Now we're going to talk about our shoulders. Roll your shoulders. Roll them from front to back. And then park your shoulder blades on the imaginary shelf behind you. Or if you like to think of it this way, tuck them into your back pockets. Turn your head this way. And then back the other way, as far as it will go that way. And back to the middle. We need to make sure our neck is not tight and our jaw is not tight either. Our head should feel as if it's floating on the top of our neck. As we are standing tall and proud, not trying to stand to attention like a soldier, but tall and proud with our shoulders back and everything open here, because breathing is a very important part of vocal production. Now, say these words with a tight, tight throat. I hate you. Okay, now, do the opposite with your throat and neck. Let it be loose, relaxed, open, and think tender thoughts as you say, I hate you. A totally different meaning, but a good exercise. What we need is for our throat to be free from strain. So let's now do a lazy yawn. Yawning is a good thing to do as you're warming up your voice. Imagine you have a hot potato in your mouth. And we're going to do what we call crescendo diminuendo gestures. Crescendo means gradually getting louder. Diminuendo is gradually getting quieter. So we'll go as if we have a hot potato in our mouth. More, more. Try this with me, and your throat is free from any strain. More. Good. Take a breath from here. What I always say to people is imagine you're not breathing in through your mouth, but imagine you're breathing in through your belly button. More. Okay. Now, let's think about lips. We need flexible lips. Mo, me, mo, me. I know you feel silly doing this. Just close the windows and doors and do with me. Mo, me, mo, me. And you can make all different shapes with your lips. Me, more, me, more. All the while, we're going to be breathing in the middle part of our body. Now I'm going to tell you something very important, which I've noticed with beginning speakers, something I want to tell all of you not to forget, particularly if you're nervous, and that is to breathe through the belly button and to breathe out. Too many speakers forget to breathe out. They breathe in, and they breathe in, and they breathe in, and they get more and more nervous, and they don't breathe out. Now the more air you take in, low in the abdomen, imagine that you are filling up your air as if you were filling up with water, and the more air you take in, the more vibration you can put through your vocal folds, and the more sound you can easily make, so that your voice floats over the top of the audience, all the time supported with your lower breath. When you breathe in as if you're seeing a friend on the street who you haven't seen for a very long time, like this. Ah, nice to see you. So the air all goes into here. We blow up our tummy balloon. We don't breathe here raising the shoulders, but we blow into our tummy balloon, breathe into our tummy balloon, as if we've just seen a friend we haven't seen for a long time. Try with me. Breathing in. Ah. Now that's a silent breath in. It's not like that, which is bad for your voice anyway, but it's a silent breath in, and a quick one. It goes right into here. Let's try it again. Surprise breath in. Ah, good. Now we're going to take the same surprise breath in, and we're going to say the alphabet in one breath with meaning. Let's do this together. Surprise breath in. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Good. You might want to pause here and have a little go at try that again. We're now ready to develop the vocal range. We're going to do some sighs, as if we're doing sirens. So again, we'll take our surprise breath in, and this is what we'll do. Ah! Now your voice may be higher or lower than mine, doesn't matter, and wherever your voice is. So let's do this together. Surprise breath in. Ah! Good. Let's now do it on an ooh sound, a real siren. Breathing in. Ooh. Now you may find that this is all very silly to you, but I'm telling you, this is important to do if you're going to be a public speaker with a voice that responds, that is strong, and that you can use to put power behind the words that you're saying. The second aspect we're going to think about with our voice is forwardness. Think your tone forward and out. Ooh! Ah! Try that. Now when you say ah, imagine that this is the top of your mouth and these are your front teeth. I'll just turn it sideways and show you. Sing or say the sound into the back of your front teeth. So we're going to sing an ah, and we're going to put the sound into the back of the front teeth. Imagine that's where it's going, like this. Ah! Get that sound forward right through your front teeth. Try it together. Ah! Good. And now let's try the syllable as in sing. And again, imagine the sound going forward and out through the front teeth. Breathing through the belly. Yes. Now let's try it with im. Still imagining the sound through the front teeth. Surprise breath in. Im. And lastly, an. Surprise breath in. An. Did you remember? The sound goes through the back of your front teeth, imagining that that's where your sound is going. Now, repeat some words after me. crash, dash. Good. Make sure the sound is going forward and out. Another word. Whirl, buzz. Now put your hand in front of your face and imagine these words hitting your hand. Let's try them again. Crash, dash, whirl, buzz. Well, I hope by now you've got your voice woken up if it's early morning. Another little trick I sometimes do in workshops is I take a bean bag, or if you haven't got a bean bag, a sock. Pause the video, go get a sock out of your drawer. And you take that sock and you throw it, and as you throw it, you project your voice the same way. So if you throw your sock a long way, it'll go, ah, like that. Or perhaps you're just throwing your sock forward and up for somebody else to catch. Ah! Or maybe you're tossing it at someone hard. Ah! Yes! Ah! Or perhaps it's a very light sock and it's going to float up and then come down like a feather. Ah! Use whatever imagery you like. Try some different effects with your sock. Next we're going to do some articulation. Repeat after me. Now this word is going to be without moving your tongue. Hangia, hangia. We're only moving the back, the last bit of the tongue in the back of the throat. Hangia, hangia. Very good. Repeat after me. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Copper-bottomed coffee pot. Copper-bottomed coffee pot. Tip of the tongue and the lips and the teeth. Tip of the tongue and the lips and the teeth. There are so many words that people mispronounce. And we need to do these mouth-warming and tongue-warming and lip-warming exercises so that we can pronounce words well. Words like gonna instead of going to, or something instead of something, or it's what I thought instead of that's what I thought. Of course, the Australians say g'day. Now that might be what you want to say if you're trying to make a point and sound like an Aussie. But consider whether it's appropriate in your speech. What about hiya? How are you? Here are a list of words that people commonly mispronounce. How do you pronounce them? You might want to pause and just try them out. Government. Do we always say government, or do we say government? Ask. The number of times I've heard people go ux instead of ask. Well, I won't go through all of them, but words like February, for example, secretary, and as one of the US presidents couldn't pronounce nuclear, these are all words, as there are many more, which need careful attention to be pronounced properly. Speech is modified singing. Speech is modified singing. Now there's a wonderful thing I came across on a program called Radio Lab. And there was a lady there who discovered how her speech is modified singing. We'll pause here now and listen to the clip as she explained what happened. Well, that was interesting, wasn't it? Now moving on from that, melody plus rhythm gives us the meaning. In other words, the highness or lowness of the pitch of your voice, or its melody, plus the rhythm or the accent, the way you pronounce the different words, gives us the meaning of our words. For example, a simple word like hello. I can say hello in so many different ways, using my voice going up and down in different ways and with different rhythm. And each time it will convey a completely different meaning. Hello. 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 Now you can try a few different versions of your own. Let's talk about the upward rising inflection at the end of a statement or sentence. For example, oh, he's all right. Was that a statement or was that a question? I'll say it again. Oh, he's all right. Do I sound convinced that he is all right? If I did believe he was all right, I'd say, oh, he's all right, or he's all right. Think about when you get up to talk in front of an audience, and if you're making a statement and trying to convince your audience of something, don't sound like you're not sure by having your voice going up at the end as if you're asking a question. These days I notice there are a lot of people who have this habit. We need to be careful about that. The rising inflection gives a sense of faint praise. If you're praising someone and the voice goes up at the end, well done, Johnny, it only sounds faint. Or it communicates polite doubt. Is that true? Uncertain opinion. But if your inflection falls instead, it conveys certainty, good-natured approval. Well done. See how that works. Enthusiastic praise. Good boy. There's a difference in the melody and the emphasis in our voice. If I say, your speech wasn't too bad, that might not sound like I meant it. It might sound a bit doubtful. But if I said, your speech wasn't too bad, now that sounds like I'm endorsing your speech. Remember, therefore, that the upward inflection is doubt and uncertainty, and the falling inflection is certainty. And consider your seminar, your speeches, all your presentations in the way you use the inflection of your voice. Let's say goodbye in different ways. I'd like you to pause the video and practice saying goodbye as if you expected to see that person again tomorrow. Good. Now, this time, say the same word, goodbye, as if you never thought you would meet that person again. Pause the video. Did you say goodbye the first time and goodbye the second time? Or maybe not. But you have your own interpretation of how you said that word goodbye. It's worth pausing and practicing a bit more. Let's try another thing. I have had a delightful time. Now, say that as if you are a frivolous woman at a formal tea. Pause the video. Did you say, I have had a delightful time? Or something like that. Now, try again. This time say, I have had a delightful time, as if you're one of two lovers. Pause the video. I have had a delightful time. I'm sure you had your own way of saying it. Remember, therefore, that inflection is something that is very subtle in our voices, and it gives us very delicate shading within the words, delicate shades of meaning. Too much inflection gives a sense of being artificial, and I experience this a lot when I hear children getting up to read in church. They think they know they're supposed to use their voices melodiously, but they overdo it. They say things like, oh no, or oh I see, or indeed. And their voices go up and down and up and down, but because there's too much of it, it doesn't sound sincere. It doesn't even sound as if they understand the meaning. But we know we need to use our voices well so that our inflection and our rhythm gives meaning to the words that we're saying. We'll talk some more now about change of pitch. The words, happy birthday to you. Now, we don't speak that at a birthday party. We don't say, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear Jenny, happy birthday to you. Oh my goodness, that would be a terrible party. But we sing, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear Jenny, happy birthday to you. And usually frightfully out of key. But that's all the fun of it, isn't it? I had a singing student once. Her name was Helena. Now, Helena was an intellectually disabled lady. And she, as part of her disability, was unable to hear properly the rising and falling inflection or the pitch in people's voices, nor in her own. And she sort of spoke this way all the time. Now, Helena's mother brought her along to me for singing lessons. And I started to suspect that if Helena could learn to sing, could find different notes on which to pitch her voice, that perhaps it would also help her speaking voice and therefore her ability to communicate more effectively with people. It was a very interesting experience for me. We started off with Helena just finding wherever her voice was. So if she was talking this way, I'd go on that note, and we'd say and sing things together, and then I moved from there to this note and that note, hello Helena, and eventually hello Helena, and so we moved onwards, gradually expanding the range of pitch that she was able to use. And I did notice, and so did her mum, a change in the way Helena was able to speak and communicate more effectively with other people, all because she was having singing lessons and learning how to use her voice in a more melodious way. When you modulate your voice, you can get attention from your audience. Think of some of the words we use as mountain peak words. That's how I like to think of them. The words that are at the top of the meaning that you're trying to give are mountain peak words. And we alter our pitch for emphasis. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we have to alter our pitch and our volume and make those words louder. Here's an exercise. The same thing is written many times here, but each time I've underlined the word that has the emphasis. I intend to buy a house this spring. Now notice I didn't say I intend, but I intend. I altered the pitch of my voice on the first word. Now that means something different to I intend to buy a house this spring. Or perhaps I intend to buy a house this spring. I intend or I intend. Or I intend to buy a house this spring. I'm not going to rent it. I intend to buy a house this spring. Only one. I intend to buy a house this spring, not next year. I intend to buy a house this spring, not autumn, summer or winter. Notice how each time the emphasis I put on was not to make the word louder, although you certainly could do that, but it was the change of pitch or highness or lowness of my voice that gave the emphasis to the meaning. When you change your thoughts, you change your pitch. For example, I'd like to leave for my vacation tomorrow. still. I have so much to do. Yes, I suppose if I wait till I have time, I'll never go. Did you notice that the first statement was at a certain pitch, and then the next statement, which was considering or reflecting on the first statement, I said that in a lower pitch. And then the last statement, which was a statement of having made a decision, was back up at a higher pitch. You can pause the video and try that one out for yourself. When you speak with different pitches, you can sound nonchalant, or you can sound believing that the audience is looking at you. Different ways of communicating your message come from using your voice in a variety of pitches. Now, some of us naturally speak more at a monotone, and others naturally speak more at a rising and lowering pitch. I know there are some cultures where the pitch is up and down all the time. Wherever you are on the spectrum, have a little bit of an exercise with some of these ideas that I've presented now. And if your voice is a monotone voice, see if you can go up and down with some of the exercises we did earlier to achieve more rich meaning in your words. And if you're a person who you feel uses the voice going up and down too much, then again, perhaps even out the pitch of your voice. Where does emphasis come from anyway? Emphasis comes from feeling in your heart, and it reflects the meaning from within yourself. I'm certain that Isaac, when I called out to him, understood the meaning that I had in my heart. But only certain words demand emphasis, and you get to choose which of those words are going to be the ones with the emphasis. Try to use contrasts also. In music we have piano, or quietly, versus forte, or loudly, strongly. So again, as well as the different pitch, you can change the volume of your voice. We have legato, or smoothly in music, versus staccato, which is detached. So you can speak more smoothly for one meaning effect, or you can emphasize in a different way if you speak staccato. We have in music dolce, which means sweetly, versus maccato, which is in a much more punctuated way. And so too, you can speak in a sweet dolce kind of a way, or you can speak with maccato and emphasis. And all of this gives you contrast and comparison. So try that. Speaking loud and softly. Speaking loud and softly. Do you know a whisper can also express emphasis? The whole audience stops to listen to you if you're going to say something more quietly. Whether you speak faster or slower can also affect the meaning of your words. We've already mentioned low and high. But whatever it is, it must come from within. It doesn't want to be artificial. Sometimes you might want to give equal stress to words, and that can be effective also. For example, I absolutely refuse to grant that demand. Absolutely. Now those syllables were all the same pitch, the same emphasis. Try it out. Try out this one. It is not the work that kills men. I'd like you to pause the video right here and use this slide now and try out all the different things that we've mentioned so far in pitch, in emphasis, in all the different contrasts of what you can do speaking musically, and try it out on this text. The change of tempo or the pace of your voice also changes the meaning. Think of music again. We have music that is like a lullaby. And what is a lullaby for but to sing a child to sleep? But on the other hand, we also have music that's marching music, and that's certainly a different pace, and it doesn't make people go to sleep, but it emphasises in a way that marches people off to war, inspires men to go and to do the deed their country's calling them to do. Just think about movie music. You are probably not aware about how powerfully the music that has been produced behind the scene that you're watching on your movie is affecting your emotions. Think about shops. What kind of music do they play at Myers? And what kind of music do they play at McDonald's? At Myers, they want you to stay a while. Go a little bit slower. Look at this thing over here and that thing and perhaps buy it. But at McDonald's, they want you in and out, order your thing, get your burger and get the next customer in as fast as possible. Music is very, very powerful. Beginning speakers often speak much too quickly. The change needs to be natural. So if you are a beginning speaker, or if you're working with people who are beginning speakers, help them to focus on the pace and the tempo of their speaking, and perhaps slow them down, get them to breathe here with that silent surprise breath, remind them to breathe out as well, and even their nerves will settle down a great deal. Think about this. I can't remember what I did with my knife. Oh, no, I remember. I gave it to Mary. Now there's an example again of a different pace and the way that the pace or the tempo alters the meaning or supports the meaning of the words that you're saying. What if I said it the other way round? I can't remember what I did with my knife. Oh, now I remember. I gave it to Mary. Certainly there's meaning in there too, but subtly different shade of meaning. Here's another example of the way the pace, the tempo, can alter the meaning or can add meaning. Have you ever read any of those Cat in the Hat stories by Dr. Seuss? Well, here's one. This is in the middle of the actual Cat in the Hat story. I know some tricks, said the Cat in the Hat. A lot of good tricks. I will show them to you. Your mother will not mind at all if I do. Then Sally and I did not know what to say. Our mother was out of the house for the day. But our fish said, no, no, make the cat go away. Tell that Cat in the Hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here when your mother is out. Now, now, have no fear, said the cat. My tricks are not bad, said the Cat in the Hat. Why, we can have lots of good fun, if you wish, with a game that I call Up, Up, Up with a Fish. Put me down, said the fish. This is no fun at all. Put me down, said the fish. I do not wish to fall. Yes, I deliberately changed the pace or the tempo of my voice to convey the different characters and the narrator, and to convey the different sentiments behind the words that the different characters were saying. This is to show you how the pace of the words can show emotion. Fast pace usually conveys excitement, joy, or perhaps intense anger, whereas a slow pace will convey sorrow or a sense of dignity, sense of solemnity. Let's pause again and look at this text. I don't want you to forget what I said. I want you to remember it the longest day you... I don't care if you've got 6 guns. Try this one out yourself. Pause if you like. Pause and power. Mark Twain said, no word was ever as effective as a rightly timed pause. Think about this. Before a word, a pause can highlight the importance to the audience of the word you're about to say. If you have a list of numbers, for example, then pausing between them can give the audience a chance to contemplate and absorb what numbers you are saying. A pause can also clarify relationships between ideas. This man, my friends, has made this wonderful sacrifice for you and for me. The third thing a pause can do is to tell the audience to consider the answer to your question. Would you like to pay less for tax? Ladies and gentlemen, we can use pauses effectively, and particularly before a word that you want the audience to remember. Silence can be so eloquent. Silence can achieve effects that no words could accomplish. Musicians know this. Music also communicates beyond words, and Mozart used rests as effectively as he used his notes. Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, consider it. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Imagine that without the pauses. Bum, 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 bum. Not half as effective, is it? The thought that comes after a pause is much more dynamic. It creates a sense of suspense, a pause does, like a cliffhanger. And the winner is... A pause penetrates ideas like slow rain. Canberra in 2 days. You have as much time as a millionaire to get your message across. Hurrying is a sign of smallness, but taking your time is a sign of richness and being in control. Force. The force in your voice. If you can't speak with conviction, be silent. We're not talking here about loudness, although certainly a big voice can be effective. But if you yell all the time, you'll wear out your voice and possibly do permanent damage. But if you use your voice melodiously and with all the contrasts we've already mentioned, it's much more healthy for your voice. And besides, as I say to the children I work with, never sing louder than lovely. And the same thing could apply to our voices when we speak. Never speak louder than lovely. You want your audience to be able to enjoy the sound of your voice. You don't want them to be covering their ears because you're shouting at them. They won't be very receptive to that. Live with your subject. I'm now talking about the topic you're going to talk about. Whatever that is, live with that subject until you've developed a conviction about it. Conviction about the truth of it. Conviction convinces. If you want to convince your audience, you need to be convinced yourself first. And from that conviction comes this natural ability to use your voice melodiously, expressively, and in a way that will really communicate to your audience the conviction you have and that you're hoping to pass on to them. You need a desire to share your message. If you don't really want to put your message out there, the audience will tell, and they won't gather the message from you. Therefore, you need to have a purpose to want to speak. What is your conviction? What is the thing that you are so emotional about, excited about, convinced about, that you must share with other people? Those are the topics that are best for your speech. And if you have a topic you need to speak about and you don't yet have that conviction, then live with the message until you do. We'll pause again now and look at this slide and read from this slide. Try these out and see if you can read them with conviction in your voice. We've said to speak from your passion. Your voice, your attitude, must give the same message as your words. Therefore, choose topics which inspire your vocal music. In the wild woods, we discover what is really important in our lives, and with that knowing, we face an audience, charged by our passion and grounded in that power. That's when we speak for impact. A quote from Nice, Speaking for Impact, connecting with every audience. General emotion is about feeling, and feeling is more effective than developing a technique. Yes, we need to do those vocal exercises. Yes, we need to develop all the ability to speak, use body language, well-planned structure of speeches, and all the things we've already discussed. But without that genuine emotion, that feeling, the message will not be effective. Think of the Negro woman standing and seeing her daughter being sold into slavery, and the emotion that would inspire her to speak. What words would she say? But how would she say those words? Speak with enthusiasm. And when you do speak with enthusiasm, that is much more effective than any clever, logical reasoning. A genuine speaker has a passionate tenderness for humanity, because a genuine speaker wants to serve humanity, wants to give to humanity. His or her speeches will move humanity, and that's what you want to do. As a mother's voice can arrest a child about to step off a cliff. And here's the child, many years later.